And hello everyone, it's time for another review. And for those of you who crave a little bit of diversity, I have something of a diversive nature for you today. Diversive, divisive, anyway, this is different. This is the Orcatorch, and it's the D520. And this is a diving flashlight. And the folks at the Orcatorch place, they wanted me to try this out, even though I told them I'm not a diver, never pretended to be. And I'm certainly not going to test this light out going underwater. But they said, no, that's quite all right. Just, you know, do what you normally do, and we'll talk about the flashlight and show you what it does as much as we can. So the Orcatorch is a 1000 lumen diving flashlight, and it comes with some relatively good credentials, including 1000 lumens and a good beam, a peak beam intensity. It is impact resistant, as you can see. Has a decent beam distance of 250 meters. And of course, the big selling point is the fact that it goes underwater, and for significantly deeper than your average waterproof flashlight. So you have 150 meters of underwater use at a depth of 150 meters with the Orcatorch. So it has a Cree XM-L2 U4 LED, and it is powered by an 18650 battery. And they give you a couple of nifty accessories here, which I'll show you in a second. So here's your basic information on the back of the box, a little bit of explanation and so forth. So within here, within the orange and white box, if I can slide it all out, you have a pretty decent little package. Here you've got a warranty card, and here is your manual. A couple of spare O-rings in here. Let me get to the flashlight, which is embedded in here. It's not particularly, it's you know, it's pretty small. It's pretty it's very easy to tag around, except for the fact that it is not really meant to be like a standard flashlight. So the thing is, I'm not sure of what use you'd have for this outside of being for the intended use. It does have this area here on the bottom, this little hook to attach, and what they've included in the package is this different sort of lanyard attachment, which is made of quite different material, and a heavy cord here. As you can see, I haven't unraveled it, and has a little bit of information here. Important notice to tighten all the connections of the light before going underwater. For head rotary switch flashlight, we recommend to tighten the light head to turn on the light before you go underwater, blah blah blah. So this is a different sort of lanyard, as you can see. And they also give you a couple of spare O-rings in here, more than a couple actually. And you also get a battery charger, a 2-slot battery charger, no less. And to go along with the battery, to which I already previously removed from the package, 2 18650 batteries. Of course, it only takes one at a time, but they have generously given 2. And these aren't small potato batteries, they're 3400 mAh, so they are of good capacity. I ran one of them through a little test. It does appear to be of pretty good quality. And I did also, I believe they do have the protection circuit on them. So they're pretty good in and of themselves. So let's take the bottom off the light. Here's the lens, by the way. Smooth reflector here. And as you can see, I mean, there's not much. The light has a very simplified, plain look to it. There is no aggressive knurling on here. Now, as I say, I'm not a diver, so I don't know, and I've never used a diving flashlight before, so I don't know if these are typical of lights that you might normally take underwater. I mean, basically, I would think, I mean, this is pretty slippery, so I would think that there wouldn't be a lot of grip on here. I could be wrong, but because, as I say, there is no knurling of any type. And you don't take the end off to put the flashlight in, you undo the whole tube area here. And as you can see here, it has multiple O-rings to seal out the water, and that's why they've given you so many spare O-rings. So if you can make those out on here, there are 3 O-rings here. So it's pretty good water. It's pretty watertight, probably more watertight than the Titanic was. And you have a lot of travel here on these threads. It took me a while to take the head off, so there is good concealment there. So inside the head you just have a spring down in there, or inside the tube I should say, inside the head. Here are the electronics up there. So when you put the battery in, because there's a spring down here in the bottom of the tube, you put the battery in positive side up. So the battery goes in thusly, and the head turns down, and the only way to get the flashlight to turn on is by turning the head. So there are no switches on it, as you can see, no switches anywhere. So turning the light on is by screwing and unscrewing, tightening and loosening the head. So there are no modes, and it's one mode, and that's all it is. It is pretty bright. So let's turn the light off here and just show you that it is bright, and it does have a very nice beam. It's almost like a neutral white. In fact, it basically is a neutral white. It's not cool, it's not warm, but it does have that mid-range temperature. And as you can see in here, it does put out good light. Now, to take this underwater is something which I am physically unable to do, but I imagine that it would do what it's supposed to do underwater. And as you can see, you just keep, to turn it on and turn it off, you just tighten and loosen the head. Okay, as through the marvels of video editing, I have just swapped out the battery because I realized that one was not as bright as I thought it was. So I'm now going to show you the beam once again, and this time it's a lot brighter than it was a few moments ago. Didn't realize I was using that battery, which had been depleted about half. So anyway, we are again looking at the flashlight with a freshly charged battery. So anyway, this is the beam once again, and it actually in this light looks a little less warm than it did when the voltage was down slightly. So it has more of a white look to it now than it did just a few minutes ago. But it is a nice beam, I will give it that. Now the only thing I can do to actually show you this underwater, and you're going to laugh, but we're going to go down to the bathtub and give this little fella a bath and test it out that way. You can laugh and guffaw all you like, and don't mind what I'm saying during the bath, because you might be guffawing too loudly. But let's go downstairs and submerge the fella in as deep and as in as deep water as I can get here. So follow me down and we'll go about that little business now. Okay, I have drawn a bath, and for what it's worth, the Orcatorch is going to have a bath. So I've drawn the bath here. We have water in the tub. Here's the Orcatorch, and they say, of course, to turn it on after you get in the water. Alright, it's in the water, and just rolling around the water. I mean, you know, this may seem a little odd, but this is the only way I can demonstrate it in any depth of water of any sort. Obviously, it lights up inside the bath just perfectly. So I'm assuming if you're a diver and you take this under the water, it's going to have a similar effect. Obviously, it's working fine. Now, the depth could possibly make a difference, and it does have, it is obviously rated to a certain depth, so, and this water is not very deep, obviously. But it's doing well so far. It's swimming around, and it's having a grand old time. And this is about the only thing I can do with it to demonstrate its natural ability to be underwater and also work okay. So, all right, I'm gonna take it out of the water, and like a Timex watch, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking. It's still going. I can't really turn this off with one hand. It's a little difficult to do that. It's not the kind of light that you can do that with, especially when your hands are wet and there's nothing at all to grip on. Okay, we're back, and he's been towel dried and so forth. I think he enjoyed that, probably as much as you did. Anyway, so there's the Orcatorch flashlight. It gets a little bit warm after it's been on for a little bit, which is typical, but certainly nothing that you can't handle. And I'm sure if it's underwater, that may also diffuse the heat element of the light and keep it kind of cool. But you know, it does have good. It does appear to be watertight as advertised. And I think I showed you the charger before, which is a 2-bay charger, which seems to be relatively sufficient. And it is obviously pretty generic, but I believe it does the job. I was testing the batteries in the charger after I got it, and although it says 1 amp on the back, might be a little slower than that, but still, you know, we'll get the job done. So anyway, that's the Orcatorch D520 diving flashlight. You want to check, if you do want to check it, or if you do think that it would be something that you might be able to use, please do hit the link below within the description. And you can pick one of these up on Amazon at a good price. And of course, you can also check out other flashlights, batteries, and charges at my website at lightsandgear.com. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've gotten a chuckle out of this particular review. Maybe not, but it's the D520. It is what it is, and we'll see you next time with more from Lights and Gear. Thanks for watching.